welcome and thank you for accepting to talk to me about your experience learning, using, and applying the reset approach. And so, before we do, I want to know a little bit about you, Sowmi.
Sure.
Who are you? Just tell me a bit about yourself.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me for this. I'm so glad to be a part of this actually, sir, because this reset approach just made a great change in all the aspects. It's not only with the treatment, as a whole for the entire lifestyle. It has changed a lot. Okay. I just want to tell about myself is I'm Dr. Sowmi Venkatesan. I'm basically from Chennai and I'm married and I have a son. Okay. And my master's in chiropractic from Akamans University. And I'm so glad to be a part of this reset approach too.
The line is not very clear, so sometimes it breaks up, but let's make the best out of it. So,
Mm.
chiropractor, wow. And then you're also going to study osteopathy, right?
I'm just studying. I just finished my this first part of my thing.
Okay. So, how did you get to know about the reset approach?
That is through WhatsApp only. Okay, one of the group member who just shared about this reset approach. So when I just inquiring about that, they said it's just beyond quite deeper into osteopath, where we just work just not only with the physical thing, we also work on the mental status of the patient, where we just try to treat them in all the aspects. Because treating a patient is not only like you just see externally or you work on that. It's something we have to go inside. We have to just find out what's the root cause and everything. Without getting connected with the patient, you can't do anything. So that is my point of view.
Yeah, and so you trusted the WhatsApp group in which
Of
you
course.
are part, and says, "From this is what you need to do," and you went.
Yeah.
And so, when was this that you attended the course for the listener?
That was in last year. That is 2023 of this was conducted for 4 days from November 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I think so. Yeah, that was a sure. November 2nd to 5th, it was.
Yeah, so it was November, right? So yeah, exactly 6 months ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you think from
Yeah,
you were saying in the beginning already, it changed your life. So in 6 months' time, um,
of
gr-
course.
great. So we want to know more about that. But before we do so, um, so what's the first impressions of the reset approach? So is that 4 day course sufficient for you, or what was that like the first day like for you?
Like I was so curious. Like what I felt was I was feeling so curious. Like let's see, because generally as of till now, whatever I have learned from different courses, I felt treating a patient is something where you just treat by assessment, doing assessment externally. But when people said about this is something you just connect into more with the patients quite deeper, I was just thinking, how is this possible? So when I just started focusing on, okay, what's going on there, I really felt, okay, we can go deeper along with the body of the patient who is opposite to us. It is not only the patient, whomsoever we can treat our family members or whatever it is, and even the kids, we can make them to bring about to their comfortable mental state. Actually speaking, it is not only about you talk about they have any problems or something. Even for a very basic relaxation, you can just give this reset approach. And 4 days, I think we can make it even for a week or something, because the more you practice, and we can have little more elaboration about the process that just undergoes in this reset approach. But as of till now, whatever I learned in this 4 days, I feel that's quite satisfied for me.
Um, yes, but I also think that you need to first experience the reset approach in practice
Yeah,
before you know bef- before giving more information, probably, because uh, it's about the practice, and then you can be more in relationship with the information that can come later. The fact is that the body is so complicated, and so I'm trying to make it simple. Because what is exactly going on is very difficult to describe, because it's so multimodal, multi-complex, and yes, we all, like you too, you're eager to understand what is going on. But are we
That's
able
right.
to grasp all the different elements? If we're only going to pinpoint one part of that, we might reduce it too much. If you understand what I
Yeah.
mean, it's like we will not get the full picture because we can't.
Of
And then,
of
of course, we are
course.
reducing the reducing it to something that it's not. So that's why I also stay away um, with telling too much, because
Okay.
I believe that there is only, whatever I'm going to say is only a very small part of the whole. And I'm
Yeah.
discovering still things. I'm discovering still
Yeah.
things today. But it's about giving you the idea of being curious yourself and to explore further, and to ask yourself the question, why is this working? What connects and what do I find out? And so it's like opening also your curiosity. And
Of course, it is.
the Facebook page dedicated to the Reset Approach, that's where I post my latest ideas and thoughts about the
Okay.
approach and healing and health and healing in general in the 21st century, because the 21st century is, of course, very different compared to the 20th and 19th century, where many of today's manual therapy approaches have been developed and developed for their time and the problems of their time, which is very different than the the onset or the cause of the problems today. And so that's the reset comes in to shift with the changing healthcare landscape. Today's musculoskeletal problems are not anymore from physical trauma in most cases. It's from, what I have started to call the increase in our biological footprint. The biological footprint is like the ecological footprint, where influences on Earth's resources are too much for the Earth to regenerate. And in a way, the same is thing happening with us. There is so many demands, and we have limited resources, and we are not resourcing
Yes.
enough anymore. So there is a
Yes.
disbalance, and that creates that autonomic lesion that we are treating in the reset approach. That's why in the beginning, we give all the elements for you to be able to work in comfort. Right? And then if you have
Of course.
questions, you can always come back to me or find what I write about certain elements. At the moment, it's in that Facebook page, because I find that is where everybody has access to if I have new ideas and build on that. So after the course ended, were you able to apply it straight away into your practice?
Of course. Actually, immediate after the day I finished my course, I applied on my patients. It really, but the feedback from the patient, what I felt was because it's not something what we tell, because from my point of view, when we just connect with the patient, we shouldn't impose something. This is what will happen. You will feel. No, I don't want that to happen. I always want my patient to tell what they feel. So when I was just implementing, I said, you just feel it and you let me know either by tomorrow, but this goes on. And I generally don't ask about how do you feel, and I just gave, you'll feel better. That's it. That is the only thing which I just gave them, nothing else other than. I really applied it the very immediate day after my course. I'm just applying the technique in all the patients almost. Even though I work on the structural basis of chiropractic, I also work upon this reset approach. I'm doing this. It's just going on with all the patients. Almost for about 95%, I'm applying it to all the patients.
Yeah, that
Sometimes
is.
that 5% is missing.
Yeah, it's another person that I'm going to interview, and she's from Brazil, and it's the same thing. From as soon as she came back, she was able to put it into practice, and she tested it. So she did people with and people without, and she saw that with the reset approach, everything just went faster. The healing, the response from the patients was faster. The healing was shortened and so forth. And at the end of the day, that's our job, right? Our job is to help people into health as quickly as possible, even if the doctor says 10 sessions. No, it's the sessions. If it's shorter, then we do it in shorter time, right? So, what is your typical patient today? What is the problems?
The more kind of the patients related, I get lots of here, Asaf in Chennai, more of the business oriented people and more of IT related peoples are there. They were the more common people. And apart from this, I have just faced many homemakers over here. They are just getting into a lots of depression and the kind of a stress that is which is related with the because of the family pressure and the tension that is just imposed on them. So these three categories of patients are majority for me.
Okay, can you repeat them
And in
because it
all
got?
these cases, reset approach is working. Okay, actually, I'm getting patients who are more related with IT professionals.
Yeah,
And the second thing is more people into business because
yeah,
they are just under a lot of mental pressure. And the
yes.
third most important is many homemakers, females over here,
Okay, so
and they just ask
homo.
the suggestion instead of treating them physically. They when I just talk with them, when they just start connecting with them, they used to tell, "Ma'am, more than all these things, I have this kind of pressure, I have this kind of tension." So they immediately open up. They just want to. When they come to me, when they start sitting and talking with me, they will just feel okay, it's something different. But once they start talking with me, once they start doing that one session of this reset approach, they'll really feel after 1 day or 2 days, they say, "Ma'am, you did something magic." This is the word I mostly hear it from my patients. Really,
Yeah.
I'm telling. Even yesterday, one of my patients was sending me, "Ma'am, you just please tell me what is there in your hands. Some magic is there in your hands." I just used to say that.
I'm just thinking and laughing because this is what I get as well. It's like, what did you do? Like,
Okay.
because many people like come, it's a bit in the same way. It's like you have these office people, IT people, you have business people, I also get the people that are cleaners and so forth. Yeah, so, but most of their problems is not by accident or they know the cause. It just happened. And then when you start talking to them about what has been going on in their lives in 3 months, and in a way, it's not necessarily part of the reset approach as I teach it because it's a manual approach. But of course, the
Yeah.
anamnesis is very important, and we have to also bring this symptom that you have that is suddenly there. It has a history, and in the reset approach, we're talking about how to share and to talk to the patient about, where does it maybe come from, so that they have an understanding. Oh, yes, the life has been difficult. I've been under a lot of stress, for months now, and I had some life changes, and that makes a story, and then we link it to the autonomic nervous system, which we've been seeing in the course, and
Yeah.
then suddenly the person says, "Oh, yeah, but then it's quite normal." Because I've been through this and through that and through that. And that already is helping a healing process because they feel, oh, there is a reason behind it. Because, you probably get it as well, that many people are worried that they have something really, really bad and they're cancer
Yeah.
and this and that because the doctors don't find anything and we don't understand it. So it must be serious. And then at the end of the day, it is serious, but it's treatable. As I,
Actually, I want to share one more thing. In my clinic, on my table, I have that thing, no, that when you were just taking class, you just gave the thing, no, like
wait,
we have to just go along with the body. That I have just kept it aside. Yeah, exactly. So everybody, whomsoever they come and say, they'll be asking, "Ma'am, what is this?" It's something like playable. I said, "See, this is what our body is. This is how you have to work on." So when I say that, oh, okay, when I just make them to be very simple. You shouldn't force your body. You should just go along with that, how it has to be. When I explain this, they understand. Okay, it's so simple. I said, yeah, it's so simple. Don't make it so complicated.
Yeah, you're talking
So that
about
plays a major role. A small thing, everything plays a major role.
for the people that will be listening to this, it's called a Toroflux. It's in a way, it's a
Yeah,
child's
sure.
toy, but it is a spring that unfolds into a torus, and you can really
Sure.
show how, what life is all about, health is all about, and how an impact or stress, how that influences the balance within the body. And
True,
every
sir.
new patient that comes to me, I show them, what is going on, that model, and they relate to it immediately, right? It's like
Mm.
the model itself, it's like it triggers something in the patient of understanding, and they think it's magical,
Yes, sir.
right? So that's why
Yeah, yeah,
I ask
absolutely.
during my courses, that they provide it, because of course it's a tool for learning, but also, and I'm so pleased that you say that, it's also for you to use in your practice to teach patients or to show them
Of
from
course.
what is happening. So
Yeah,
me, I am very happy. Yeah, and it's like when you create a
to
course, you
learn.
imagine something. I imagine you in your practice practicing. This is where the course
Yes.
starts for me, and then I break it
Yes.
down and say, okay, what can I do to make that dream you in your
Mm.
practice come true? So, and you're confirming
Okay.
that my planning and that my that what I try to do in those 4 days indeed gives that result. So as to continue the questions a little bit that I've prepared, so you
Yeah.
you already answered it. So you are using it together with chiropractic. Do you still do physiotherapy as well or not?
No, sir. That is very rare because that works only in cases of any injury based of cases. In that rehabilitation, I works on physiotherapy. So the percentage of the that patient is hardly 10% or something. But the
Okay.
remaining out of the remaining 90%, out of that 90% of 60% will be of the structural related issues, maybe externally due to some, mostly it will be back pain or shoulder pain or something that.
Okay.
The remaining 40% or 50% will be like they'll tell about the stress and other like the emotional problems and all those stuffs.
Okay. Yeah, because it seems to me that some that have taught, from the course, that are only physiotherapists, not chiropractors, they seem to have a little bit more
Yeah,
difficulties integrating it into their practice. And so it's
true,
also
sir.
I'm also looking for people that have done it successfully, so that we can explain to them how to do it. Because every practice is different. Culturally, we are also different, and how our practices run. So I
Yeah,
don't have a ready answer. So I'm looking also for answers so that I can help better, so that people are more confident integrating it into all of their practices. For osteopaths and chiropractors, is quite clear how it can be done, but physiotherapists, there is a
yeah,
possibility. And so we are going to also create some conversations with people that have integrated it successfully. So, okay. So, um, give, can you give just like, one example of a patient that you say, this is where it really worked very well? Just like a sample, classical patient in which you did the reset approach. And then,
okay. The more classical example, some 2 3 months before, I got a patient. She was just referred from one of the psychologists. The psychologist is my patient too. Actually, she's a 55 or 60 years old lady. She's under a kind of depression since for the past almost more than 8 years. So her daughter took her to my clinic. So she said all those stuffs about my mom, so and so. She just gets into kind of depression. Sometimes she doesn't know what she's doing. Sometimes she gets irritated or something. She doesn't share anything. The first session when she came, she just started talking with me, and after that, I started with the reset approach. Actually, in that case, I didn't work upon anything else. I just worked one day on the reset approach. I said, this is a technique. You just feel it and just carry on whatever work you had. And she's also under medication for the past 8 years. That is also the beautiful thing over there. She can't be without taking that medicine. The first session she came, and I just made her to the second session after a week or 10 days after. When she came for the second session, she said, still now I have went to many doctors or psychiatrists or psychologists for many people, but I never feel the confidence which I got it from you. I felt okay. I felt you are giving something to me, but I don't know what it is. But I felt there is a kind of something I feel the betterness in my body. And after the second session, after the 10 days on the 20th day, when she came for the third session, she said me one thing. I almost stopped taking the medicine, whatever I was taking for this depression. She said, I'm not taking medicine and I'm not feeling the kind of a headache or something, because she used to get the headache almost out of the 24 hours, out of the 16 to 18 hours, she will have a very severe headache. She didn't have that headache. She was out of the medicine almost, and she was feeling very confident about her. And she has got trust on others also. She started trusting on her, even on her daughter and every. And her daughter, she said, really, I didn't expect when I came for the first time, because I was not knowing you. I don't know what you were doing. You were just simply touching her, and I don't know. But when my mom is saying she's feeling very comfortable, and she said like, no, I just want, at least for a friendly manner, she just want to come and talk to me, or she used to call me, she used to ping me. This was happened actually. She came for me for some four sessions, as I think so. After that,
Wow.
she was really feeling so better. And I got one more patient also. Actually, she's a young girl. She's doing her CA in Chennai. She's a case of, actually she tried committing suicide for almost thrice, because all of a sudden she has got a very severe body pain. She doesn't know what's the reason. She has been underwent all the examinations. Everything seems to be normal, and her mental status which made her to get into committing the suicide. But her mom just brought over there to my clinic. On the first session, she took it, and after the first session, she felt comfortable. But what she thought was, okay, this is something happening. Okay, we left it. And after 15, 20 days, that girl called me. She called me personally. Then she said, actually, doc, I thought like maybe this is not going to work out for me. But I felt there is some difference in that. So I really want to take for the second session. Can I come? Please don't mistake me that I didn't call you back regarding after the first session. So please don't miss. I said, you're always welcome whenever you want. So you can come. So she just came me hardly last week only. So even for her, she felt much better, even with the pain, and as well as her the mental status was very good. I really no, each and every time when I'm getting something, I always get remembered of you, sir. So I always think I used to share some of the things with my patients too. See, he was the person who was just taking. He was a person who was just making us to get update with the patient's treatment in this basis. So it's
Thank
really great.
you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for sharing. And yes, and your story, it's the story how it started. It's like, people come to you and you help them, and then they're a bit
that
desperate.
that just
And
really gives a very, yeah, it's just really a good soul satisfaction. It's not about the money or something. It's just really a complete satisfaction of the soul.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes I really feel so blessed and happy, like how lucky you are, like people trusting you, and you could able to heal a person. It's not a simple thing. It's something great,
yeah.
doing a good kind of thing.
I know. I've been doing this now for about 16 years, and I still every day when you get like these results for people that have been suffering for sometimes very long time and no results of the normal medical um, path, that you just say from, my God, I'm so so lucky that I can do this, right? And my story, my backstory, and so I don't even come from a medical background, right? And then when I started studying osteopathy, it's because my soul was calling me to say, from Tom, it's time to wake up to your full potential. And then look where it took us. It took me to India, it took me to teach you, and now you're helping other people.
Ye-
You know,
Yeah,
and I say, just thank you for my soul to wake me up. And I got a wake up call. So, and I can relate to it. I've got some patients that have these suicidal tendencies also because I've been there myself, right? So I've been there myself, 24 years ago. And then to see how the body, that many of these psychological problems that people today have is a body problem. It's not a mental health problem.
Yeah.
It's because there is imbalance within this autonomic nervous system that is changing vascularization in the brain and nutrient distribution that is changing the way you think. And when we start just treating the body and bringing it back to ease, to return to ease, and suddenly this weight is off their shoulders, and suddenly they can think clearer and see things clearer again, and they see solutions which they didn't see before. And this is where the Reset Approach is such a big help, because it offers that, again, that mental space, or lifts that fuzziness in the brain. Like in long COVID, for example, people say it's like a foggy brain syndrome, and suddenly that foggy brain is lifted, but in one session. It's like, okay. And as you're really doing it also in a way, like for these like long COVID kind of situations, and where there is depression, day 1, day 10, and then 3 weeks later, and then in most cases, then they're independent again. And so that's good. So, like, what kind of message would you still try to convey to manual therapists about your experience?
As of from my side, for all the manual therapists or who are into this medical practitioner, I can suggest them, Reset is such a very beautiful thing. Like, if everybody gets into a practice of this, it will really helpful for many of the people, because it's not like the public is, or the people is not in a small quantity. It's in so many of millions and millions. So if we just get into that, it's more than like not just as like a profession. It can be like a service based also. This will help out a lot, and even this is not something that's going to stop within this particular period or in this generation. It has to be taken upon to the next generation. So I really try to make it more wide enough. So it can be the must for many manual therapists. It will help out a lot.
Yeah, and
especially those people who are more passionate about the work, who just really want to get into a kind of a treatment thing or something like that, who just want to give the best thing for the better thing for the people and for the patients.
Yeah, and as you say, it's transgenerational. The Reset Approach is something that is also evolving with its time, right? It's something that is not stuck into a box. And you develop it, you put it to your hands, you use it in your way, because it's based on a principle. Once you understand that principle and you apply that principle, and then you make it your own. But once you understand the mechanisms, and then in the future, the challenges of our, towards our patients are going to change. And what I also really love that you said yourself, and that's why I'm saying into the title, it's like take yourself and your skills to the next level, or into the 21st century. And I'm not lying when I'm saying that, right? It's yourself and your skills.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I think this is so important, that most trainings are much focused on skills, and you get 100 of techniques over a whole kind of 2-3 days, and you forget by the end what the first one was. How was that again? Right? And I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you can, to say that I'm wrong, but once what I've taught you on the first day, the second day, everything you know on the last day, right? Everything we've taught is like everything is straight away into practice, and no, not one technique that I showed you to put and implement the Reset Approach philosophy and principle. Everything is available to you as soon as you enter your practice.
Yes, sir.
And this is so
Yes.
beautiful. I think that makes this course, in compared to the courses that I've done, also very different.
And the
That
highlight is that, like, when we were just practicing, it is not only we are just giving it, even we felt it. Because when we feel it, what's happening in our body, automatically we tend to provide it to the person who is opposite to me. So that is a mindset which we just make it. Because
yeah
as being, when we are just making ourselves exchanging each other, when we're doing practicing on each other, we felt no, okay, when because you just try to understand what's happening in your body, what's going on into that, you get involved inside that. Then once you understand, okay, this is something you really have to take it inside.
yeah, it's a personal experience. The first time when
So, so
somebody,
that's the
when you do it on somebody, you feel something, and then you get it onto you, and you think, from that kind of,
yeah.
oh, that's what they feel.
Absolutely, that's what they feel. That's right. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right.
Is there anything you want to add to this, to this recording, to this video, to this interview, or to this, you know, this sharing that we're doing now? Is there anything you want to add before we close it down?
To add in the sense point of view technique, because it's not the technique you do this, you do that. It's something like you make the people who's just learning this or whatever who's going to implement this, you make them to feel what's happening. You make them to feel how simple the body is, how simple the body can make itself to heal on its own. Okay, so it's something like you make, as you said, ease. Just ease the body. That is a concept. So once you understand that, there is no such big complication, whatever the problem the patient is in front of you. So I want uh, Dr. Thomas to be like your teachings has to be more spread throughout everywhere. That is a personal thing which I can tell you, sir. And that's it. And
Yeah.
really, other than that, really very much thankful for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for, for
Thank you, sir.
answering, and to be, there to share your story, because I think it's important for everyone to hear from, somebody who is not me. Because for me, it seems all very logical, and you expect that from me. But, now I'm saying I can bring people into their element so that they can do it themselves, right? And that they have the results
Yeah,
that I'm having in my practice. And I strongly believe that 4 days is indeed enough, and you've proven that. And I've proven it over and over again that these 4 days are, yes, it's an investment for some people, investment of time, investment of money, but you have it for the rest of your life. And all your patients benefit from it. And you get a name for yourself. You get a name into your community of being that kind of special person with special hands. But it's not special hands. It's just because you learn something to do with your hands and with your body, your mind, and your soul. That is just very logical. But, because it's new, people don't
yeah,
understand it fully yet. But
of
great.
course, of course. It is just giving an uniqueness in among out of all these doctors in and around me, or so many physiotherapists are there whosoever are there. It is just giving a specialty of uniqueness of in that. Because in my Google review, whenever I see people used to come by seeing my reviews and they used to come. Once they just start communicating with me, and after the treatment session, they will really say that really, now only I understand why people gave you the reviews. No, because the thing is, it just making it the uniqueness. The uniqueness, you can't get it from everyone. Everybody can treat just by thrusting or something. But the thing is that when you just be in the patients in your hands, and you start observing, you make them the easy thing. It's not such an easy thing. It's
Yeah,
really.
yeah. It's a you
So,
know, it's putting your gift to work, and it's about, for me, to bring out the gift in you. Thank you.
really, sir.
Um,
Seriously.
uh, Time is, we have our time, and I want to thank you again, Somi, for sharing. And I sincerely hope we meet again. When I'm next
Sure,
in
sir.
India.
We'll meet soon, sir. It'll be.
Okay. Thank you.